What if I told you that there's a world of adventure waiting for you to relive an experience again like it's the first time? And this absolute classic has been calling your name ever since you last put it down. Developed all the way back in 2006. This is ElderScrolls Oblivion. Now, Oblivion hit the gaming industry by storm with 9.5 million copies sold worldwide. It also won awards like Game of the Year, Role-Playing Game of the Year, and MTV's Video Music Award, which has cemented this game in gaming history. And I'm a bit embarrassed because I did not know Sean Bean and Patrick Stewart voiced two of the most prominent figures in this game, with Sean Bean voicing Martin Septim and Patrick Stewart voicing Uriel Septim, which has absolutely left me starstruck because I'm a massive Lord of the Rings fan and a Game of Thrones fan. And to be fair, Patrick, American Dad is pretty sick too. I was only 7 years old when this game came out, and I still remember sitting in my dad's living room completely glued to the screen playing it. It was literally everything I wanted in a game. I could literally become whatever, whoever I wanted in this fantasy world. I personally used to roleplay a huntsman who had lost his ancestral family home, and I was just trying to gather more money to one day rebuy back that farm, which also led to illegal activity, and that's why I went to prison, which is why I just absolutely loved this game. You could literally sculpt your own character and create your own story and become what you want to be. And that's why it makes it so magical, because it's so easy to get lost playing this game. Even the DLCs that they released were completely lore friendly, apart from the horse armor, because that was terrible. And I've done a bit of research, and I'm pretty sure this horse armor pack was the first ever major game company implementation of microtransactions, but don't quote me on that. I have tried to research it, but I could be wrong. And I'm sure everyone can relate to me when I say this. This game made me fall in love with Bethesda's games, Fallout, Elder Scrolls. Like, whenever I see those games come out now, I know they're going to be bangers. So, with that being said, let's crack this game wide open.
I was born 87 years ago. For 65 years, I've ruled as Tamriel's emperor. But for all these years, I've never been the ruler of my own dreams. I have seen the gates of Oblivion, beyond which no waking eye may see. Behold, in darkness, a doom sweeps the land. This is the 27th of last seed, the year of Akatosh 433. These are the closing days of the Third Era and the final hours of my life.
Now, I don't know about you, but I've never felt more ready to play a game in my life. You start off in a cell, and this is your first ever interaction.
Hey, Wood Elf. You're a little far from the forest, huh? Looks like your days of woodland frolicking have come to a tragic end. To go from the gladed realm of Valenwood to a rat-infested hole like this. How very sad. Those walls must feel like they're closing in on you. Pretty soon you'll go mad, and the guards will cut your throat just to stop the ranting. That's right. You're going to die in here, Wood Elf. Die. Hey, you hear that? The guards are coming. For you.
Now, we've played the game for less than 30 seconds and we already want to kill somebody. I know you do too, so don't even lie to me. The question is, would it be a Bethesda game if we didn't? Anyway, guards come to your cell and say,
"Stand back, prisoner. We won't hesitate to kill you if you get in our way."
so like any other normal person would, you get out the way. But then the Emperor approaches.
You. I've seen you. Let me see your face. You are the one from my dreams.
Here he basically says, I've seen you in my dreams and your fate is part of a larger destiny. Now, the soldier presses a rock into the wall and an escape route opens up.
Better not close this one. There's no way to open.
So you've literally been given a get out of jail free card, so you take it. But your party gets attacked by some mysterious people in red robes, and after a short fight, you defeat them. But this is where you end up parting ways with the Emperor.
You stay here, prisoner. Don't try to follow.
This is when two giant rats burst through a hole and you end up fighting them before escaping through the hole they came through. Now, you end up going through the dungeon, completing the tutorial, getting some minor gear, before eventually coming through a second hole in the wall, which is where you link back up with the Emperor and his guards. But you eventually find yourself at a dead end with nowhere to go, and the guards are heavily suspecting an ambush. Now, the guards tell you to guard the Emperor with your life, which doesn't really go down too well. Now, before the Emperor died, he tells you to take the amulet that was round his neck to a man named Joffrey at Wayne Priory. He also tasks you with finding his long-lost son, who is the key to shutting the jaws of Oblivion. So you crack on and eventually get out of the sewers, which concludes your intro to the game, and the world of Oblivion is now your oyster. And I personally think that the intro was actually really good, and the whole story is honestly 100 times better than that. The main questline is so well written, and the voice acting in this game is honestly absolutely incredible. And I've never felt more immersed in any other game. Now, if you do get bored of the main storyline, don't worry, there's an additional 183 side quests for you to get your teeth into. And even after completing those 183 side quests, if you still find yourself wanting more, you can calm down and stop panicking, because there's another 9 DLCs that bring an extra 57 quests. So let's talk about the first two property DLCs. This is Frostcrag Spire, created by an ancient mage who wanted to create an ultimate home for a wizard. Now, the mage passed away where the tower fell into abandonment and eventually became a forgotten relic, and this is written into the game's lore that you have inherited. Now, it comes with teleportation pads to all the mages guilds, a spellcraft and enchanting area, which honestly looks pretty cool. You also get an alchemy lab with your own garden, and to top it off, you also get a fully guarded vault, where we move on to my personal favourite, Battlehorn Castle. But prepare for a fight, because you do have to battle your way into this one. Oh, brilliant. We've got a spin botter in Oblivion. But anyway, you hear a rumour that the castle's under siege by bandits, with the defending side being the captain of the castle guard. Now, when you actually overthrow the bandits, the steward actually approaches you and says this.
"This is indeed a dark day for all of us left. But I thank you for risking your own life to help us. Here, take this. It'll tell you all you need to know. As the newest master of the castle, I bid you welcome."
And just like that, you are now the proud owner and lord of Battlehorn Castle. And with that comes some pretty handy features, like your own blacksmith with their own smithy, a really well decorated living quarters with office space, and your own library that has a little secret stash. You also get a huge bedroom, which is quite literally the biggest room I've ever seen. And it also comes with a servant, and it's not that kind little deviant. You also get a huge dining room, which I think just looks amazing. You get your own chef, a wine cellar, and an expert craftsman that takes pelts and creates taxidermy that you can have in your castle. And those are just property DLCs. There are 2 DLCs which give a combined total of 40 extra hours worth of playtime. Now, the first DLC is called the Knights of the Nine, and the plot revolves around the return of a sorcerer king who was defeated by a divine crusader way back in ancient times. And yet, you guessed it, he wants his revenge, and he aims to destroy them in the mortal realm. So it's down to you to recreate the Knights of the Nine in hopes to stop him. Now, the second DLC, I think, is everyone's personal favourite, and it's Shivering Isles. Regarded as possibly the best DLC ever released in an ElderScrolls game, we're introduced to the Daedric Prince of Madness and his world, which always reminded me of a more sinister Alice in the Wonderland. I don't know if anyone else gets that, but I have tried to pronounce his name, Sheogorath. If you know how to pronounce it, let me know, please. But the start of this DLC always creeped me out, because just look at the setting. What's happening? And I always found that this transition from talking to him to actually revealing the world was just unbelievable. And as you can tell from my mouse movements, it's still blown me away. And I won't reveal too much, just in case you are considering replaying this or playing it for the first time. Now, in my opinion, the combat system is quite linear unless you're really planning on playing a mage. When using a sword or a warhammer, all you have to do is left click until you find the right time to block, which is a right click, and then you continue spamming left click, which doesn't really give much depth and skill to the sword fighting aspect. But the archery can be pretty fun, especially if you're aiming to be like a stealthy character. But close range, the bow is completely overpowered, and when you're attacked, you can still fire back with no rebuttal, which does so much damage. But being a mage in this game is absolutely huge. You have over 307 different spells you can actually cast, and you can spec into different schools of magic like conjuration, illusion, or restoration, and you can even create your own spells, which gives it a personal touch to the game, I feel like. Now, don't get me wrong, the graphics are obviously dated. You can tell you're playing an old game when you're playing Oblivion. But on the plus side of that, you don't actually get much lag, and it's pretty well optimized for modern systems. But I will confess, I play this with zero mods, completely bare bones, so I'm sure if you plan to mod this game, you'll probably have a few crashes. And the audio is pretty good, to be fair. It sounds as close to real as you can imagine in a fantasy world. And the music will always be held close to my heart. It's great at setting the mood in different situations, and let's be real, you'll always know the Oblivion fight music when you hear it. But the voice acting is also pretty good as well, and there are some funny voice acting mistakes you can actually still encounter in the game, like these.
Lady Umbernox has hired a new captain. Lady Umbernox has hired a new captain of the guard.
Spriggans, nature's guardians, my foot. Mean things, they'll curse you, or they might call a bear to tear you apart. Spriggans, nature's guardians, my foot. Mean things, they'll curse you, or they might call a bear to tear you apart.
What do you want, you... What do you want, you rat?
I heard that thieves broke into the Arcane University, the Imperial Legion compound, and the temple all on the same night. Wait a minute, let me do that one again. I heard that thieves broke into the Arcane University, the Imperial Legion compound, and the temple all on the same night.
But now it's time to move on to our replayability rating. And I'll be honest, this one was really tough. Let's talk about the story, and I'll be honest with you, I really enjoyed playing the main storyline. You can tell they put a lot of time and effort into writing it. The fact that there's 261 quests, including DLC, which is nuts. What more could you possibly want? I don't know. But let's move on to the combat, and I'll be honest, it's not that great, which puts a massive dampener on this game, in my opinion. You play a game like this, an RPG, the combat has to be satisfying and rewarding. And that's for all aspects of the combat, the sword fighting, the archery, and the magic. And the magic is absolutely unbelievable. The archery is really, really satisfying, but the sword fighting is just very linear. And let's face it, the graphics are very dated, but the audio is still good despite its age, and in my opinion, the music is just unforgettable. So with that being said, I'm going to give this game a replayability rating of 4 out of 5. And as always, I want to know, what's your opinion? Do you think I was wrong? Do you think I was too harsh? Or do you think my points actually are valid? And if you have any suggestions for any extra games you want me to cover, please let me know in the comments. I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much for watching the video, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.